Dr. Luiza Petre joining us right now, cardiologist by training. A good read on pretty much everything we're seeing on this from Mount Sinai. Doctor, always good to have you. The significance of this early on, and I know you always like to remind me, let's not get ahead of our sort of skis on this, but what do you make of this?
That's definitely promising, and I'm like you, I would take the rush no matter what. But definitely great data coming out. Only first 8 cases reported, and reiterating what was said before, it took 2 doses 2 weeks apart to ramp up an immune response. And also we noticed that in people at low dose, they actually had an immune response similar to people who got the disease. But those who got a higher dose, actually, they had more antibodies, which means actually stronger protection. But let's put this in perspective. As you said, this is phase 1 trial. They're starting phase 3 in July. And just trying to be cautious here, many studies don't even end up or finish after phase 3 trial. So let's be optimistic here and see what happens. That's why there's a stage approach. We have to prove safety. We have to prove efficacy. And there are things you can speed up, right? You can speed up on infrastructure, logistics, and manufacturing, but you cannot speed up when it comes about safety and waiting to see how people respond to that.
So, Doctor, the significance of this is it builds these antibodies that provide some protection against getting COVID-19. Now, how is that going to help those who might already have COVID-19?
Well, there are people who develop a lower immune system, and also it's going to be relevant for those whose immunity will water down. We don't know how long natural immunity will occur. So the significant part, if these people could receive a booster down the road to ramp up the memory immune response.
Now then there's the issue of, if this is as promising as you say and others have been saying as well, Doctor, you'd have to get a lot of doses out to the world. How is something like that organized and handled? I mean, the next step, let's say you have a promising vaccine, a promising treatment, even if you want to grant an emergency approval for those who desperately need it or could be beneficiaries of it. How does that all come into play?
The good news, Neil, is that Moderna already teamed up with the U.S. government and with distribution network and manufacturing. So if this indeed turns out to be as accurate and efficient as it seems like, they'll be able to deploy doses quickly. However, if you look at the time frame, as I said, you cannot compress timelines when it comes to human studies, especially in phase 3. But we are looking still at early next year at being scalable and available to population.
Well, I have you, Doctor. You know, Americans are going back to work right now. Actually, they're going back across the world. You're a cardiologist by training, professor of cardiology as well. That's a vulnerable subset of the population. Those with diabetes are as well, those with a host of other ailments. How would you recommend that group, those vulnerable groups, you know, organize their return to work?
Definitely, Neil. It has to be a staged up approach, and the fragile population and those with chronic medical conditions should be the last to go out and about. First, it's going to be a hybrid between as much as we can do online versus social engagement and social distancing. So as we are doing this pilot reopening, this is going to be our stress test. In 2 weeks, we'll know how effective that is and what the consequences, if any, we will have.
All right, Doctor. Always good catching up with you. I always learn a lot. Dr. Luiza Petre, board certified cardiologist, much more, monitoring the significance of Moderna and what it has in play here that could change the landscape for how we deal with this virus going forward. Maybe an outright treatment, an outright vaccine. That's the hope anyway.